Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. This is the time of year that Santa makes his way around the world. Well, today's guest is kind of Santa, at least he was for 30 years, Winston Carbonneau of Derby. Welcome to the show, Winston.
Thank you, Scott.
You're also known you're known as Winston. You're known as Joe. Your name is Cabby, and I bet you, as a police officer, you probably had some other names that people called you that you probably.
They call me quite a few names. Most of them only knew me by Cabby.
Right. So, but we're finally getting you on the show because I've been wanting to have you on. Last year, you were going to come on, but you went outside and your legs went in one direction, the rest of your body went another, and you ended up not making
Couldn't make it. No, I slipped on some ice here, and boy, and I couldn't get up.
Right. But I wanted you on because, a lot of people know you in different roles. They know you as a local boy, but they also know you as a Newport City cop, sheriff. They also combat veteran of Vietnam. But a lot of people don't remember the other role you played. You were one of Santa's many helpers. You dressed up.
Yes, I did. I dressed up as Santa Claus quite a few. And once I started playing that Santa Claus, it was pretty good. I started getting a lot of calls. People getting to know Santa was around with a helper.
Right. And is this fella? Is he one of your elves, or is he?
Oh, this guy here's one of my little dogs, little reindeer. Yeah, he's the one that keeps the reindeers in straight, right? Yeah. So he's been pretty good.
Yeah. So, but I just want to put a little bit of background for the viewers. You were born in Newport?
Yeah, I was born in Newport, and I've lived here all my life.
Right. And did you enlist in the Army?
Yeah, I went in the regular Army, RA, and when I just turned 18, I went in. I went to Korea, 52 to 53, and then, of course, my parents didn't like that when I went in because they afraid I'd go get killed.
Right. And you almost did, though.
Oh, yeah.
More than once.
In Vietnam, yeah.
Right. So you apparently liked the military because you never got you went on to 20-something years.
Yeah, I stayed in the military for about 21 years almost, right. And one time I only had about 15 years in, and I was joined to Vietnam, and the lieutenant, they come over here to see me. He said, your enlistment's up. I said, is that right? Yeah. I said, well, I'll swear you in. So he did.
Yeah.
So I stayed after that. It took 6 years. I stayed 21 years.
Okay. So when Vietnam was building up, did you pay attention to it in the news and everything, when the build-up, as in when it looked like the United States was going in?
No. We was in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Right.
And training with the helicopters.
Right.
And that's when we all went with the first cab, airmobile, and we went over there. And then once we landed over there, then it came to realize what you were going into. So
you were one of the first people there, because what year did you arrive?
I went over 1965 to 1966.
Right.
And my son and my wife went back to Newport, Vermont, and lived. And then from that time in Vietnam, we were stationed at NEK. And that's when we really learned a lot about the enemy. And don't forget, we was in their backyard.
Right.
They knew the areas, and that's where we were. And boy, I'm telling you something, it's something else.
That has been something else for you men and women in different capacities to go from northern Vermont to being shot at in the jungles of Vietnam. Right. Then you spent one tour there.
Yep.
And you were a member of the 1st Air Cav. And you were helicoptered in everywhere.
It was in the 1st Cab, it was an A Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Cab, 1st Cavalry Division, Airmobile.
Right.
And every time we had to go on a mission, we'd get no choppers. We'd have to fly in to where the enemy is. And once we flew into where they were at, then we tell each of my men, when you jump off the chopper down there, they know we are coming, but I want each one of you fired one round or one magazine each scattered in front of you because you don't know which you're going to land. And a lot of punching sticks. And some of the people got hurt by them, but others, we had quite a battle down in them days.
The first time, you weren't a platoon leader the first time, were you? Or were you the second time?
I was platoon sergeant.
Right, you were, okay. And so you, which tour were you hit in?
I got malaria in the first tour.
Right.
And then the second was in 1968, 1969, when I went to July, Vietnam.
Yeah.
And that's when I got hit and shot.
Yeah. You must still remember that pretty well.
Oh, yeah. What it was that night, we was in our day logger. We only fight mostly at night at that time. And I was in my day logger, and all the men were laying around. There was a kid there. And I get up and told my lieutenant, I said, hey, that's a VC. The kid, nah, you've been here too long. I said, watch. Right? So I got up and started to walk toward him. He took off running. Well, came about 2:20 in the morning. Yeah. We met him again.
Yeah.
But this time we had a heck of a battle going up over. And then that's where we fought for about 2-3 hours right there. So we had to stay there. I told my lieutenant, I said, look, down there, I said, a little old bush right there wasn't there before. That was about 2-something in the morning. I said, watch where I fire my traces. I went and told everybody first. And then that tree, I shot at it, and it fell. And I shot 3 times, he got me once. But I don't know how come. They said, well, they're so full of drugs, they don't know.
Right.
But anyway, they turned me around and flipped me. When they did, what got me mad most is, wasn't gonna get shot. Got to drop my weapon.
Yeah.
That was my life, I called it. So anyways, they wanted to fly me back in. I said, no, wait till they bring breakfast. So meantime, this kid, I told you was a VC earlier, they came up with a whole bunch of babies, a whole line of babies, he did, because he knew he wouldn't shoot the babies. So then we took him in. They put him in a chopper. Took him about 4 or 5 hours to make him talk. He finally told him. So what we did.
So that was when you were with the Americal Division?
Yes, I was with the 1st 6th, 196th Infantry.
Right. Now, you said that was July?
That's in July.
Isn't that where all the tunnels,
Yeah.
the tunnel networks were?
When we go out in the daytime, when we're going to our new objective, there's tunnels everywhere. You don't know where they're at. They were good at camouflaging themselves. And when they camouflage themselves, you wouldn't know where they were. So they put on a demonstration for us. And from here to about to where your TV is. And they had 3, used to be VCs, and they had them out there in front of us. Never saw them. And they said, they was telling us, watch, because that's where they're at. So all of a sudden he gave a signal, and up came all 3 VCs. You didn't know they were there, right in front of you. He could have killed you.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That was them. And you learned quite a bit from that. Because then you was always, anything you went by, tunnels or whatever.
And you were an old man in Vietnam.
They called me, when I got there, it was all young kids.
Right.
So when I got there, July, I flew in there, and I went to get into my platoon. And they all looked at me, of course, and a new guy coming in going to take over that platoon. And he looked at me, I said, put everything straight. It's not the first time. I said, it's been a career. I've been here in 65, 66, and now I'm here. So that made him Northland.
How old were you? 30 what?
I was 30-something years old then.
Right.
When
And a
I-
lot of your men were 18, 19, 20?
Oh, most of the men were 18 years old, 19 the most, 18. Then we started getting a lot of them back in too, but they were younger. Because it's either, what are you doing here? Why you coming to Vietnam? Either go to jail or come here. That was it. So
Yeah.
we had one hell of a time.
Right.
But then we got in the true line once we got in there, and we had one position where the Santa Claus was going to come in.
Okay, yeah, let's get on to, this is how you became Santa Claus. A lot of
Exactly,
people
yeah.
a lot of people don't think of war and the holidays, but the holidays can be a lonely place in the war zone,
Yeah.
can't they?
Yeah.
And so you got word that you had a dignitary coming in.
Yes.
And
Okay.
you were out in the jungle, and what happened?
What happened was out there in the daytime, you don't really fight too much, but still you have to be on guard because they're there. And so anyway, they were telling us someone's coming in. He said, okay. So I had my men all set up in perimeters all around. And when he came and got off that chopper, he was, oh. And, well, I'll tell you something. We were nervous because
A man in a red suit and a
a
combat
red
zone.
suit had a full dress on, but he played it good at it until we was all done. Then he took off. And when he took off, then we were getting ready to move out after that.
Now, what would the weather, because here he is all dressed up in Santa Claus, what would the weather have been like in Vietnam then?
The weather in Vietnam was always a monsoon season, and it was dry, wet, smelly, and when it rained, it just didn't stop raining. And when you did get a lot of rain, half of us just couldn't get any clean clothes on it.
Well, here, and you actually got a photo here of Santa Claus landing, but what I really like about that story is, I know we've talked about this before, is you were so touched by the bravery of that soldier to bring you holiday cheer. Now, granted, he did have gunners to make sure there was no naughty VCs trying to shoot Santa.
Yes,
but
yeah,
that really touched you, though, didn't it?
Yeah, because you take somebody plays that Santa Claus coming in there, and you know he can be shot down too.
Right.
And of course he had his door gunners, but when he came in, it takes a lot to get in there to play Santa Claus, knowing that you might not make it.
Yeah, because the world could have been a different place if old Sandy had got himself shot.
Oh yes, he could have got it.
Right.
And that's why we had to make sure that every man was on guard and watching out front and making sure nothing coming in.
So he was on a Huey, was he?
He was on the Huey, the same chopper that we were in.
Right. Okay, so you finally retired from the military when?
I retired in 1973.
And that's your career as Santa Claus. Well, one of Santa's many helpers began almost immediately.
Yes. What it was, I retired. I took a, 73 I retired, and come Christmas time, I said, get myself a Santa Claus suit. I did. So the first time I ever played it was, I lived on down on Glen Road. And so I took my snow machine. I had a snow machine then, and I got on that, my suit, and I went first down the Glen Road.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at Santa Claus on there and waiting, right? That's just Glen Road. Then I went back home and up into the golf course. And going across the golf course, there's a road goes for a cat on the back.
Yeah.
And I was going down, I see some people was on the side, kids and that, but then all of a sudden I see, and I didn't realize they were there, but they said, hey, Santa Claus. I was going, ho, 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 and you're waving and everything. And I'm telling you, that was quite a hit.
Right.
And from then on, everybody knew.
Right. And you were even known, even when you were a Newport police officer, come Christmas, the scanner was filled with
Yes.
Santa once again. Santa
Yeah.
was.
After that, it became, started to play, and they needed a Santa Claus down by Newbury.
Yeah.
And so I went into Newbury and see if they had candy they could donate and everything they did. Gave me a whole bunch to give to the kids.
Yeah.
So all these kids come to look for Santa. So that was pretty interesting.
And when you were actually working,
Yes.
your voice was often heard on the scanner, because even in uniform, you played the part of
yes.
Santa.
Yes.
But you've told me so many interesting stories about, like, tell about the time that tell about the time at Laterno's.
Oh, yes. Okay. I used to play Santa Claus many, many years up there on Laterno's, Laura Laterno's.
Larry Laterno's, right?
Yeah, that's Larry Laterno's. And he didn't know it, but I said, hey, I said, you want a Santa Claus down there when you bring the kids? Yeah, he said, you do? I said, yeah, I'll do it for you, Larry. So I dressed in my suit. Of course, I went all the way down there, in there, and I stood in all the pine trees and everything down there. So all of a sudden, he comes down with these kids in a big sleigh full, and he sees Santa Claus waving to him. And, of course, going, ho, 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 and all of them, get down there, Santa's out there. And he said, oh, no, he said, I'm not going. He said, I'm going to turn around. No, the Santa's out there. So he used to play it, too.
Right.
So they come and give each one of them some candy and talk to each
But one time you had a little accident there.
Then the next time, he come and had a whole bunch of kids in there. I'm going to hand out presents to them. All the kids in school was brought in there. And they had presents. So I left my house and got out of my vehicle. They was all inside that dance hall there. That's what I call it. And when I did, I was in a hurry, and I shut the door. When I did, got this hand right here. Oh, that hand was bleeding. There had to be a nurse up there. I went inside the house, and she fixed up a bit and said, you going to play? I said, yeah, I'm still playing it. So they had it wrapped up good enough, put my glove on, you couldn't see it. So
but the kids saw your hand was injured, and
yes.
And what did you tell the kids happened to you?
I told them that one of my reindeers, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, got and looked at my hand, and he said, I didn't know if he bit it or what happened, but all of a sudden it started bleeding.
But you were also a bit of a naughty Santa Claus sometimes. Back in the day where drinking and driving was not shunned, is when you first started. When you first started, you would go from house to house, and tell that story.
Okay, the story here on the house to house. After that, everybody gets to know. Then they call me, and I go to their homes. And so I went down to Glen Road home, Mr. Longtang's house, Roland, and of course I have one shot. They always give you a shot. So I said,
shot of liquor.
Oh yeah. And I don't kind it was, but I said, no, I can't drink it. I got a lot of blood. No, just one don't hurt you. I said, okay. So I drank that one, and no problem. And the time I got ready to leave that place, had more than one, I guess. So then I had an old Jeep, and I was driving back. 2 more places I stopped, and they offered you a drink. Well, I said, I feel pretty good. I ain't going to worry about it. So I drove it, took those 2 drinks, said, I got to get home. Started back up. Halfway back home, I had to stop, call Lauren Laterno. Not even get me a bomb. I couldn't see them.
And how did Santa feel the next morning?
The next morning, I woke up with the biggest head you ever saw. I didn't know where it happened or where it was or what did happen.
But you did give up drinking now.
Well, after that, I said, just one no. None.
No.
From then on, I said, no, I'll take coffee, I'll take something like this. But this Santa can't take that. It'd be going all over the place. How
come you enjoyed doing this for so many years?
I enjoyed it because you get to meet many, many people. I played at the Mission Manor. I played at a lot of the people's house that call me. And you get a good feeling that you made everybody happy and you're playing a Santa part. And I used to tell the kids, you're from the North Pole? I said, yes, you can You can go ahead and write Santa Claus a letter at 911 Santa Claus Lane, Northland, Alaska, and that's where the address was. And so that's what I did and tell them that.
Bet you had a fair number of girls sit on you, women sit on your
Yes.
lap too to have their photos taken.
Yes, they did. A number of the young ladies, they sat on your lap. And they give Santa a little rough time. They whisper in my ear. They all knew me. I said, "Quiet! You don't tell these kids what him."
What do you think it takes to be one of Santa's helpers?
You've got to play the part, and you got to practice it, being a Santa, and you got to go ho 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 ho, and do the ho ho and right, and really act it out. You have to, and if you don't, they're gonna be afraid of kids. So
I see one guy who is. Some people know him as. I've been noticing he's around. He's one of you helpers. I've seen Santa Dan Ross. He from down on. I believe he lived down on in Skunk Hollow for a time when he was a much younger man. I now see he's one of Santa's helpers.
Yes.
Because and he does a pretty good job
Yes.
at playing. At helping Santa with his.
Yes, they do.
And so, do you think what kids want for Christmas back from the 70s compared to now?
yeah.
I bet you it's changed a lot.
Oh, it changed a lot now. One of the little kids, they get on to talk to Santa, and some of them want two cars or little trucks. Or one of the little girls, she wanted to tell Santa, I said, "What do you want for Christmas?" "I want a baby girl or somebody to play with." I said, "Then let me," and I ho ho ho, and I said, "Well, we'll see what we can do about that, and talk to your father and your mother, and see if they can get you one." And, "Thank you, Santa, thank you." They were very happy. There's so many things that they ask you for, and you got to play the part on it to say it.
Right. And Newport, when you used to play Newport there, that was a very different city than it is now. It was much more busy, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people. It was very, very busy, and they really played the holidays very great.
The Sayre family, they always had the Christmas music playing through the loudspeakers. It was a festive time.
Yeah, they all had. Yeah, they had this music all on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and other stuff that they play on there. So all the kids are really happy. They had to see them. The questions they ask you. And so I said, "Well, where's your reindeers?" So when I used to play up by the tunnel, they asked me, "Where are my reindeers are?" I said, "They're up back in the back over there." And I said, "They're getting some food so they can eat now, so they can continue their mission to go out to the other people." Right. And they looking around.
Hey, last week there were 100 and something Santas running in Orleans. They had a running race. Yeah. Everybody was
all Santa's helpers.
Yeah, all Santa's helpers. Just in your younger days, you could have ran that race.
In my younger days, I said when I seen that, I said Santa would have sent me, but since I got up there a little bit more, I said, "Oh, Santa can't do that no more. You send this helper."
So when did you finally retire from being Santa?
It was about in the first beginning. I guess the last time I played was in 1995.
1995. So it was just time to move on from that.
Yeah, but then on, when you get done playing the Santa Claus, you're tired.
Oh, I would have meant. Did you ever play Santa on the radio?
One time. I can't remember where it was, but I did.
To the viewers who don't realize, Winston has been very open in previous shows about your post-traumatic stress disorder being the issues you have faced since returning from Vietnam. Was this kind of therapy in its own? Playing Santa, did that provide you something that you needed?
It didn't. It helped you to. You met different people. Didn't say, "Well, you're one of the Vietnam vets," and it helped you quite a bit. So when I got to where I was real bad on that, they said, my doctor said, well, you got to talk to somebody about this. I said, who are you going to talk to? You guys don't talk to some stranger. They're going to look at you like you're... That's it.
Yeah, I know you've shared a lot of your stories with me,
Yes.
and especially being the platoon leader and having to lead people into war. But the thing is I've always wanted to have you on here. I've written about your story about being Santa, but it always amazed me that because I've even read your writings about the horror that you experienced But you did find something good in war. You found that Santa Claus, and
you have your good days, you have your bad days. Sometimes you have some little kids come and want something to eat, and it ain't their fault. So they're there, but you have your good days and your bad days.
Right. Have you ever been to the Wall?
Yes.
In Washington?
Yes. Went to the Wall in Washington, and it's one heck of an experience. I've seen all those names up there, and some of the names you know to your people, they never made it back. It's really bad.
Yeah, because I know you spoke a little bit at an event that I hosted for Helen Morse, who lost her son 49 years ago in Vietnam, and you even said there was a fine line between you being Mrs. Morse's son who didn't come home. And you, there was a fine line of who came back.
Yes. So those that didn't make it back, they gave a lot.
Right. But you know what? You made it back.
Yes.
You had your struggles, but I think in so many ways you've given back. Whether it was playing with Santa, playing Santa, or you've been on numerous shows with me. Educating people about post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
And as you said, one of the secrets is talking about it, because for generations, you veterans, especially combat veterans, were told, don't talk about it. But then it comes out in different, because for you, it was coming out in your dreams, and you'd wake up.
Oh, yeah. That was bad. Then that's when I was in my dreams, and it was terrible. My wife woke me up, and the doctor said that's when you got to talk about it. So really, you get to see things, and sometimes it ticks you off real bad. Now, since I've been talking about it, going to some of these schools, they have to invite us in to tell us about everything, so we go there. That helps out. And then talking to you, and when you ask us to come up and talk, it helps out.
No, I think because Vietnam veterans, it isn't like our good friends, the World War II veterans, I know you were friends with my friend Joe Queenan, and they came. Their war was a bit different, and they came, whereas like you Vietnam veterans have never. Well, I think now you're getting the respect you deserve, because I think you're now standing up. You're telling your stories, and we got John Wilson, who's been on my show. We have Gene Tessier. People like Gene, a lot of people did not even know that he served in Vietnam. They had forgotten about it because he came home and he put that behind him because of the way you guys are treated.
When we come back, of course, nobody liked the Vietnam people. I got spit on in New York, and a lot of them didn't care for anybody who was in Vietnam. That was a heck of a thing at that time, back then.
Right.
That was one heck of a...
Yeah, it wasn't a war you guys asked for.
Well, we didn't ask for it, and I didn't ask for it. They who sent us there, same people who was demonstrating against us, they sent us over to do this job, and if you didn't do your job, you're going to find some other place.
Yeah, you were quite the writer, though, because I know I've had writings from you. You even wrote the local papers condemning, saying that, hey, you protesters are actually making us do our, making our jobs harder.
They did. I should send them over here.
Yep, you did.
See if they'd like it.
Right.
Hey,
well, we've got to just about wrap up, but I want to commend you again. I think you have done so much, not only for our country, not only for our community, but for people. You have accepted all you have made the best out of every bad situation that came your way. You came home from Vietnam. seeing the horrors that I would never be able to understand. But you found that little bit of humanity at war, and you loved the kids of Vietnam, and you met Santa, and you took those two things and you became Santa and helped the kids of this country.
That's right. It's quite a bit. It's a good job.
I think you're one of these unsung heroes that we need to know more about, because you've done a lot. And I also know, and this could be for another story, I know you've been a hero more than once, including the one time running into a burning building and rescuing everybody. Except for, I know you always felt bad that one of the people in that apartment building didn't make it.
Yeah.
But if it weren't for you, there would have been far more people dead that day.
That's right. Yes. There's a Newport, that building here.
Right. Okay, hey, I want to thank you for coming on, but thank you,
Sean.
not only thank you for your service to your country, but thank you for your service to humanity, to our people.
Well, I've enjoyed being here, and for you taking all of us veterans and letting us speak and ask us questions about it, it helps.
Right. All right, thank you, and thank you to little Rudolph for coming on and telling your story too.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you much.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.